Thank you so much. Michael's here with us, with Chad and Andy. So, Michael, it's going to be 15 minutes or maybe less, but to have a conversation, about your huge, fabulous art and creativity. Michael, thank you for, to be here and let us know who you are.
Sure. Yeah,
Well,
I'm Michael Rayner, aka Broken Juggler, and on Instagram, and Broken underscore Juggler on TikTok. And I do weird tricks that are sort of juggling, sort of vaudeville, and this is what I do. This is the job for 41, I don't know, 41 years or something, 41 years, I
Wow.
think, something like that.
wow, lots of time. When you start,
I didn't start until I was 18. I graduated high school, saw a show in New York. This juggler named Michael Davis was very inspirational. I was inspired by seeing him in a Broadway show, and a little bit of like Steve Martin, because Steve Martin, before he was an actor, he was a vaudevillian. He did,
Right.
magic, juggling, tons of stuff, and I actually saw him live also. So I started at 18 and then started making money at 20. So there
yeah,
you go.
was good.
And you
Uh,
do some of the most interesting juggling I've ever seen. When did you start to give it like more of an edge? I mean, it's so impressive. Like, I'm sure it's like building blocks.
that's a great question. A lot of people do like just juggling balls, juggling clubs. I always wanted to gravitate to things that people don't normally see. That's why I do a lot of parasol tricks, tricks with tennis rackets,
Yeah.
and those are the things. And then in the live show, I I tell the audience, if I can't balance your shoe on my nose for 7 seconds, I owe you $10. And then for the first 15 minutes of the show, I start balancing audience's shoes, and I can do improv with everybody's shoe. And then that opens it up, and then we're having fun. We're talking to all the audience. That sometimes they do win, sometimes they have a really awkward, bizarro shoe, sometimes they don't, and then every shoe tells a story. So that's why I try to and then doing baskets with Nicolas Cage was just a random thing that just happened because my daughter had a Nicolas Cage pillow that she was giving to Goodwill, and then I was like, let me see if I can do social media, and one of those videos on Instagram did like 26 million on Instagram, and so
Wow.
Oh
yeah.
my,
Oh,
yeah,
So
those are incredible.
fabulous.
It's like one of my favorite Instagram accounts.
yeah, and now I sort of use the Nicolas Cage pillow as a welcoming device, and then I'll do another trick with something else. That's what sort of it's devolved into. It's like I'll do the Nicolas Cage pillow, then I'll show a new juggling trick. Like yesterday, was it? No, it was today's. I posted it, but I did it yesterday where I'm doing two foam burgers, and then I bounce one off my knee, and that's only. I just did it yesterday for the first time at the gym, and then I came home and did it for the video, so it was fun.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah,
I love it.
fabulous.
Yeah,
You keep learning from another people, obviously,
not
And
in weird ways,
how
not
it's so
really.
fast. Yeah.
And yes and no. There's two different things. There's two different philosophies. Like I like Steve Martin, and I like Michael Davis, but then like when I started working on parasol spinning, I just sort of was figuring it out because I knew it was a trick, and because I figured it out a different way than how people teach it, because now I've seen how people teach it, that allows me to do two at once. So I kind of tell people, yes, learning from others is good, but then if you don't learn from others, you'll learn another way to do things that other people aren't
Mm,
doing sometimes. So it's like half and half, I think, half and half.
right.
That's so interesting. And there's no one way. There's lots of possibilities.
I mean, one of my favorite things is I just saw the other day was the A Quiet Place script. Did you ever see the Quiet Place movie script where it's the beginning pages are like like 5 words, 3 words, 2 words, and all these gurus tell you to never do that and your script will be thrown away. But
Mm,
they were like, this is how I'm feeling. This is the energy that I'm putting forth. And so, you just have to trust what you want to do sometimes, as like it might somehow resonate with people that can get you hired, hopefully.
Exactly.
When I first auditioned for an amusement park, there was an amusement park in Flint, Michigan called Auto World,
Uh,
and Michael Moore did a movie called Roger and Me. If you remember, this was back in the day, all
Yeah.
about Flint and the unemployment and the worst place to live. And I worked at Auto World, which later on was just imploded and made into a parking lot. But the very first time I auditioned to perform there, I did what I thought the people wanted to see, and it was just sort of calm and boring. And then they had more auditions, and I came in again and just did what I wanted to do, and I just was yelled at people and just was bizarre and weird and aggressive in a weird way. My live show is very aggressive as opposed to my yard show. In fact, tomorrow I might launch a TikTok that's kind of aggressively weird, but I don't know if I'm going to put it on Instagram because it's a little bit long, but we'll see. Um, so I learned from that experience. Like I've done, I don't know, 65 or so national TV commercials, and when I go in, you can do what you think they want, or just do your take and let the cards
Hmm.
fall where they may. That's the whole thing.
Wow. What
So
if
the very first big commercial I booked that was a national that they flew me up to work with Ringo Starr. I just went in
Wow.
and saw the copy, and I just had this weird way of reading it that they really liked, that was super, super deadpan, very quiet, very deadpan, and they kind of resonated with that. And that was a kind of a fun gig because it lasted 2 years, and it just was one of the very first. That's the gig that got me my Screen Actors. Was that my Screen Actors Guild card? I think it was, yeah. And that was a million years ago.
oh my God.
That's so cool. I challenged my parole officer to a fist fight, so I have to go, unfortunately.
All right.
But
In a,
yeah, follow Broken Juggler and Broken underscore Juggler on TikTok. You guys keep interviewing because I'm gonna be like the audience and listen to this later.
All
But
right. Take
keep on
care,
going.
man. All right.
God
Bye.
bless.
pieces. Good luck. Michael, it's so interesting because there's lots of young people always asking how you did it, how is it, where's the way?
I think the way to start is just incremental, tiny steps. Everyone wants to, all of a sudden have one of those magical things where you make Reservoir Dogs like Quentin Tarantino, and then all of a sudden you're famous. Well, he was in an acting class that Harvey Keitel was in, and he just slowly would write his scripts and work his way up. And so, I in my very small town in Michigan, there were auditions for an amusement park. I did that. Then later on, there were auditions for an amusement park down in Florida. I did that and went and worked at Busch Gardens for 6 months. Then after that, I went up to Six Flags over Georgia for like, I think 3.5 years. Then just people started to get to know me, who I was. And then I got a job down at Universal. And then through Universal in Florida, I wrote a show, toured Canada, and wound up in LA, got headshots and headshots to agents. And then every little step of the way, you're just learning a little bit more. And so it's incremental. It's not
Mm,
all or nothing, and you can research so much on the internet now. I didn't even have the internet to do research. Now
exactly.
you can figure out anything on the internet, which is great. And with TikTok and Instagram, you can reach so many more people faster and quicker if you have good content. And if you launch things and people aren't liking, you can always do another video the next day. Every day you can make something creative. So that's what's great is you can buy a phone, and all of a sudden you have a film studio that you didn't have 30 years ago, which is great.
Yeah, keep trying.
For an example, I do shows at the Magic Castle, which I think is really fun, but
Oh wow.
I I would just do anything when I was first in town, and I did a game show, and the guy was one of my best friends. I met a guy named Woody Pittman who was one of my good pals. I met him on that game show, and he was a magician at the Magic Castle. Then he saw my performances and he said, let me introduce you. So you're always getting introductions to people, like, you're always meeting people. I think that then one of the main goals, if we can tell everybody that might listen, is unless you're super, super talented, just be cool to everybody, because everybody has a chance to, they might want to hire you or help you get hired by somebody. But if you're not cool, they don't want to help you. So be cool.
Good advice because also you're genius, also brilliant. So that's a good combination.
Yeah,
Cute, being open, being cool, being
yeah,
kind,
yeah.
and keep working,
And
because
I mean, I do. I mean, when I first got to LA, I can't tell you, and I still do free shows like at different events. Like
Yeah,
sometimes, I
never say
mean, I
no.
will go
'Cause
do
it's
corporate shows and get paid a ton of money, but I'll
yeah,
still go do 10 minutes someplace just to figure stuff out. And I'll do little bar shows, or I'm opening for my friend Justin Willman at like a theater show with a ton of people. So being open to still doing little shows, big shows, medium shows, all the shows.
that's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
keep
I
moving.
mean,
Yeah, yeah,
one of my main things right now that I do in the summertime, I do a lot of shows at libraries because I have a family show, I have a kids show also,
love
and
it.
it's great. And then some of those kids shows, then a woman saw me and she had me to the backyard of her house to do a show for her
Cool.
husband's 50th birthday. So, it's just constantly just always working LA, working LA, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, exactly. It keep going.
Well, I mean, I'm a big fan of David Lynch movies. I always
Ah,
like David Lynch movies,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
I remember that the main spirit that was the evil spirit was just like I don't know if it was a grip or like a boom mic operator. They got a shot of him like
Uh-huh.
in a mirror, and then David Lynch was like, "Oh, that mistake is now going to be that's the spirit of the evilness."
You
So he
see?
took the mistake and incorporated it into the film because he thought it looked so cool that like the face that he saw, that it wasn't a mistake, it was
Yeah,
meant to be. So,
yeah.
I mean, I one of the tricks that I do, like one time I showed up and we are gonna have this little show and nobody showed up at the show, so we just had a little creativity session, and I did a trick that I'd never done before at the creativity session, and that then spawned some more tricks. So it was just like
Exactly.
every day I'm always trying to figure out new and better things to do trick wise, and also the relationship with the audience, at the
Ah,
same time.
that's so important. Well, I'm doing, stand-up comedy since lots of time, but in English, yeah, also saying, "Hey, it was my mistake," and because that's also a part of a good relationship with the audience. You're right. Thank you so much, Mike. Let me tell you that that is an honor again, and wow, applauses because you're a great, brilliant artist. So thank you so much being here.
Thank you.